Hey, what up, guys? So, coming to you today with another What's Next. This is on the now former super featherweight champion, Joseph Diaz Jr., following his draw that he had with Shavkat Rakhimov in what ended up being a non-title fight for him after he got stripped of the title because he came in over 3.5 pounds overweight for his 130-pound world title fight with undefeated mandatory challenger Shavkat Rakhimov. Diaz was coming in the favorite in that fight, and he just came in overweight. The fight went forward because he made the second day weigh-in, which was you can't be any more than 10 pounds over the weight. And they both made that, but the title wasn't on the line for Diaz. It was on the line for Rakhimov. It was a good battle. They fought well, but he missed weight. And as I predicted, he is not planning to move to 135. That was just laziness in my book. He came out. I did a shut the fuck up video on him, guys. Go back and watch that. But he said that he didn't care what anybody thought about him. He wasn't even disappointed in himself because he wasn't going to kill himself to make weight. Well, the way I look at it when a fighter says something like that is one of two things. Either you're struggling to make the weight and needing to move up to the next weight class, or you're just fucking lazy when you miss by 3.5 pounds, flat out. You miss by 1 or 2 pounds, 1.5, you can go back and burn that off and try to make it. And if you don't get there, okay. People can call you lazy. People can say you tried, whatever. But Diaz didn't try. It's flat out laziness is what he's telling us by saying he's staying at 130. And, he just was lazy and didn't make the weight. And he lost his title because of it. And for me, I'm totally disgusted with that. I'm a big fan of Joseph Diaz. And this is the second time in the last few years that he's missed weight for a big fight. And it cost him being able to compete for a title at 126, a secondary title. And it cost him his world title in this fight. And it's a shame because he is a really talented fighter and a guy that could really become one of the best fighters in boxing. But you got to put in that discipline and that work. And he didn't do it. So going forward now, the big question is what's next for Joseph Diaz Jr.? Well, like I said, obviously he's staying at 130 pounds. So let's run through the top 10 and see what the possibilities are there for him. Now, a rematch with Shavkat Rakhimov is out. Diaz is not competing for the IBF title. The IBF has already ordered Rakhimov to fight Kenichi Ogawa for the vacant title. So Diaz is out of that mix. Next is Shakur Stevenson, undefeated. De La Hoya is not going to throw him in against Stevenson, and Stevenson's lined up to fight the winner of Frampton and Herring anyway, so maybe a fight later on down the road, but it ain't happening next. Let me see here. Let's start at the top. Let's do that instead. Let's look at the possibility of him and Gervonta Davis. If Golden Boy and Mayweather Promotions could come together, it's a very good matchup, and I like it, but I don't think this is going to happen. I just don't see it. Golden Boy and Mayweather Promotions working together is just, I don't see them working together, and Davis would be a big favorite, so I don't see it unless it was a mandatory fight. Number 2 at the moment, that could all change tonight, is Miguel Berchelt, the WBC champion. Wouldn't completely rule it out because I wouldn't hold it past Top Rank and Golden Boy to come together for this one, but I'm leaning towards the no. I think Berchelt's going to have other options, but maybe some of those options might not want to fight him next. So I wouldn't completely rule it out that Berchelt could go after a big name like him and they could fight. So that's what I'm going to say to that one. Number 3, he's number 2, is Berchelt. Diaz is probably going to remain around number 3 in that area. Number 4 is the former world champion Leo Santa Cruz. He's with Richard Schaefer and the PBC. They're not going to work with Golden Boy for this fight. Not going to happen. Plus, he's coming off a bad loss, so I don't see it. Number 5 is Carl Frampton, the former 2-division world champion. Frampton's supposed to still be fighting Jamel Herring next. If Frampton wins that fight, he's going to fight Shakur Stevenson. So a fight with Diaz is just not on the table. It's not almost for sure not going to happen. So don't count on it. Number 6 is the undefeated Oscar Valdez, the former featherweight champion. So Valdez is fighting Miguel Berchelt tonight, and personally, I think he's going to get knocked out. And if that happens, it's not happening. If he were to beat Miguel Berchelt, maybe he goes after Diaz, but I just think there's other options at 130, and and I just don't think Top Rank and Golden Boy come together for that fight. I don't see it. Number 7 is Roger Gutierrez, the WBA regular champion. Now, I think this fight's very possible. Gutierrez, I'm not 100% if he's signed with Golden Boy, but I know his last fight he worked with them when he fought Rene Alvarado. So unless a third fight is on the table between Alvarado and Gutierrez, which I think that is very possible, I really think him and Joseph Diaz make sense. If Golden Boy can put the fight together, it's a way to get Diaz a secondary world title. He'd be under Gervonta Davis, so possibly move into that fight. Or if Davis were to give up the belt, he becomes a super champion and he's got a major world title. So there are ways of this fight happening, and I think this one could be possible. Number 8 is Rene Alvarado, the former WBA regular champion. Again, I like this fight. I think this fight is very possible right here. But only, I don't see, here's my dilemma with this one and why I think it won't happen is, I think Gutierrez is either going to fight Alvarado a third time or fight Joseph Diaz next. So if for some reason he doesn't fight those two guys, which I think he will, but say he doesn't, then I think it's possible these two guys get together. But I think too much was left on the table in the Alvarado fight to not have a third fight. I think that makes sense. And Joseph Diaz is going to want to jump back in and get something big going next, bigger. And it's an easy fight to make, so why not go for it if it's there? So I really don't see Gutierrez fighting anybody other than either Alvarado, third time, or Diaz. So I'm not sure if Diaz and Alvarado happen, but again, it could, because they're both with Golden Boy. Then numbers, I don't think there's anybody else in between. You got Jamel Herring. I think I got Jamel Herring, Tevin Farmer, and Shakur Stevenson all tied for 9th right now. And Shavkat Rakimov comes into it. I know I already said him and Stevenson are out. So him and Jamel Herring, Diaz and Jamel Herring, not seeing it. I think Herring's going to beat Frampton and line himself up for a showdown with Shakur Stevenson. It's a mandatory fight. And then him versus Tevin Farmer in a rematch. That was part of the contract. I think it's a fight he could get if he wanted it. But with no title on the line, I think Farmer would be down to avenge the loss. But with no title on the line, does Diaz even want to go there? He didn't want to fight Tevin Farmer before. And I don't know. I don't see it unless Diaz really caves and goes for it. So if we're looking at top 10 fighters, guys, at the end of the day, what do I think he's going to do? I think the Roger Gutierrez WBA regular title fight is probably the most likely in the top 10. And Alvarado, if Gutierrez chooses to fight somebody other than Alvarado or Diaz, then I think Alvarado's a possibility. So those are the two real, as close as you can get to being real possibilities. And then the other fights, I don't know. I don't know about the other fights. I don't know if in the top 10, but other than that, he might just come back and stay busy. I'm expecting him to return. I'm going to say July to August. And I hope it's a big fight because that might be the only fight he has the remainder of the year after this disappointing draw because he missed weight and didn't really take it serious. So we'll see what happens. That's a what's next on Joseph Diaz, the former super featherweight champ. I hope you guys enjoyed it. True Boxing, you've been hit with the truth.